up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be discussing 3 strange and mysterious disappearances, and this one is a doozy. So let's just jump right in. There are so many cases of people going missing in the woods, forests, and national parks of our world, it's almost hard to keep up. When looking through these missing persons cases, there are some that stick out as extremely bizarre and very strange. Thousands of people go missing every single day throughout the world, and unfortunately, some of them will remain unsolved forever. The mystery in these cases, though, is that there is a certain set of parameters that each case seems to have in common, which goes beyond any belief that this could be a mere coincidence. Here are just 3 of the most bizarre disappearances that I could find, and of course, and as always, there will be more to follow. Our first case is the rather strange vanishing of an 84-year-old theology professor by the name of Dr. Maurice Demetz, or Demetz. In 1981, he was mostly known for his fire and brimstone religious rhetoric and his many writings of how he believed that the literal Antichrist was going to appear in our lifetime, but he was soon to become even more well known for his odd disappearance. When he wasn't busy telling anyone and everyone who would or even wouldn't listen that the devil was coming, Dr. Demetz liked to engage in his pastime of collecting rocks. Of course he did. He was in Pike National Forest in Douglas County, Colorado, along with his friend David McSherry to go hunting for topaz on the day of his curious disappearance. Maurice was 84 years old at the time, guys, and he had a range of health problems that caused him to rely on McSherry to get him around, his bad knees making him unable to get very far at all on his own. In other words, he wasn't some physically fit young man who could just run off at the first sound of trouble or at the drop of a dime. The men spent the day digging around for rocks. They had sort of a system where McSherry would drop Demetz off at a spot and then go off on his own to a different spot, but like nearby, so he didn't go very far. After which he would pick the doctor up and they would move on to a new location where he would do the same thing. On this day, everything was going smoothly and they had spent hours digging at different spots. McSherry would never wander too far and would always come back and check on his friend about every 15 minutes or so. So basically, the doctor was never left alone for very long. David McSherry was at one point about 100 yards away from the doctor and had just checked on him 10 minutes earlier, but for whatever reason decided to go back and check on the old man one more time. Dr. Maurice Demetz was nowhere in sight. He called out his name, McSherry called out for Demetz, but he got no answer. David thought that this was very strange due to the fact that Demetz's knees were so bad that he would never even be able to hobble his way far enough out of earshot in just 10 minutes, let alone walk fast enough to be out of eyesight, out of vision, right? McSherry decided to search for a few more minutes, figuring that his friend had to be somewhere and that maybe he was injured and needed help, and that's why he couldn't call out. After a few minutes, though, fear and concern really started to set in when he realized that not only was Maurice missing, but all of his tools were as well. He thought maybe the doctor had wandered back to the car, though that seemed even more unlikely than the doctor getting far enough he was no longer in earshot in such a short period of time. He went back to the car just in case, and as expected, he found the car empty. So he looked for a little bit, and then he was like, oh my gosh, like maybe he's injured, and that's why he can't call out, because David McSherry is convinced that Demetz could not have gotten far at all. The man could barely hobble, let alone walk. So how far could he get in 10 minutes? Dr. Demetz was nowhere in sight or seemingly in earshot by the car either. David called the authorities and a full investigation was launched, including a thorough search into the area by the vehicle and also the surrounding areas where the men were digging for the rocks. There was a 5-day intensive and extensive search, yet nothing at all was uncovered. No trace of the doctor, no trace of his tools. There was also no blood or sign that he had been attacked by an animal or the victim of any kind of foul play. He was just there one minute and poof, gone the next. No one has seen him or found any clues or any trace of him ever, like since, nothing whatsoever. This case still remains unsolved 40 years later with no hide or hair, nor idea what could have happened to Dr. Maurice Demetz. It's worth mentioning here, though, that the place in which the 2 men were digging that day and from where Maurice went missing is a place known as quote-unquote Devil's Head, which has long had a place in native folklore as a haunted place inhabited by evil spirits, and which also, strangely enough, had other strange disappearances that had happened in the vicinity as well, and those are going to be in another video. Moving right along to our second case, Another case that took place way back in 1981 and is still unsolved 40 years later is the case of Stacy Arras. On July 25, 1981, Stacy Arras was a 14-year-old girl who went on a horse riding trip with her father George and 7 others in the Sunrise Meadows area of Yosemite National Park in California. What was likely a picturesque and enjoyable ride over the stunning wilderness of Yosemite became a nightmare for the Arras family. After riding a few hours, they stopped at some cabins at Sunrise High Sierra Camp, around 3 miles southeast of Tenaya Lake and 1.5 miles from Sunrise Lakes. The group decided to freshen up after the ride, having planned to stay the night. Sunrise Camp is 9,400 feet above sea level and the last one of the 50-mile High Sierra Camp loop. 9 cabins provide beds for 34 guests, and it is set against a lovely alpine meadow facing Mount Florence and Mount Clark. After arriving at the Sunrise High Sierra Camp, Stacy cleaned up and decided to go for a walk. The young girl asked her father and another member of the party to join her, but she was denied their company. She made it very clear that her walk was only going to be a short distance. She was just going to a lake that was very much nearby. It was within earshot, and she just wanted to take some photographs and stretch her legs. She would be in plain view and in earshot the entire time and wouldn't be traveling any further than earshot. Can I say earshot again? The lake was nearby within earshot of the site, I guess so, and the area was not known for any instances of animal predation either. Thus, her father likely thought little of his daughter's actions. However, once she embarked on her short walk, Stacy Arras was never seen again. After a comprehensive and thorough search lasting 9 days with over 100 people, sniffer dogs, and helicopters, nothing more than the lens cap of her camera was ever found. Our third and final short case of the night. Stephen Kubacki was a 23-year-old student at Hope College in Holland, Michigan, a private Christian university near the eastern shore of Lake Michigan, when he disappeared on February 20th, 1978, whilst on a solo cross-country skiing trip near the town of Saugatuck, and I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. The day after his trip to Lake Michigan, snowmobilers in Saugatuck spotted cross-country skis abandoned with a backpack and contacted the authorities to report what they figured was a missing person. They quickly found the contents of the pack belonged to Stephen, and a search and rescue mission was immediately started. The one-way path, 200 yards of footprints, ended abruptly, leading investigators to conclude, in the absence of any other clues, that Kubacki drowned somewhere under a thick layer of unbroken ice. This area close to Lake Michigan and where they said he allegedly drowned was somewhere he had visited and skied many, many times before. He knew the area well. Stephen Kubacki was 23 at the time, either a German or a history major, set to graduate that spring. The year before he vanished, he co-wrote an op-ed for the campus newspaper about the inadequate collection of books in the university library, arguing that the school should install an electronic security system to safeguard against theft. Bob Namar, a 1978 Hope graduate who didn't know Kubacki but had heard about him after the disappearance, said Kubacki was described as brilliant and a little more free-spirited than the average student at the conservative school, which explained why he lived off campus. Quote, big Dungeons and Dragons guy, end quote, Namar said of Kubacki. Stephen was also known to be an enthusiastic outdoorsman who had previously climbed mountains while studying abroad in Europe. He'd been cross-country skiing in the same area bordering Lake Michigan before, as I said, and not just once. He was experienced in this area. The trip that weekend wasn't particularly unusual, but the rest of the story definitely is. On May 5th, 1979, well over a year after he went missing, Kubacki quote-unquote woke up in a grassy knoll in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, 700 miles due east from where he had vanished. You can draw a near-perfect straight line between them on a map. It was a Saturday night when he woke. Kubacki had no memory of what had happened to him the previous 14 and a half months and said he didn't immediately realize how much time had passed until he bought a newspaper and saw the date. He found his way to an aunt's house in Great Barrington, about 20 miles from Pittsfield. From there, he was reunited with the rest of his family in South Deerfield. After he reemerged, Kubacki told reporters that he had found himself wearing clothes he didn't recognize as his own and had a backpack filled with maps and hitchhiking signs, suggesting he had traveled pretty widely: Sacramento, San Francisco, Reno, Chicago, and even Utah. He also had $40 in cash, new glasses, sneakers, and a t-shirt from a marathon in Wisconsin. Quote, I feel like I've done a lot of running, end of quote, he said in an interview the week before he reappeared. Quote, I feel like I've done a lot of running, end quote. That's what Stephen said in an interview the week he reappeared. His memory right up until his disappearance remained intact. He said the last thing he remembered was feeling cold and scared of being lost in the frozen darkness. Kubacki told a reporter that he believed his blackout was caused by exhaustion and exposure. And he said he would see a medical doctor for a physical, but he would not be seeing a psychiatrist. Kubacki insisted that he was in healthy frame of mind when he set off for the ski trip, and still was. Quote, my father was going to sign over the house to me. I had 3 courses at school and no trouble. I left a romance in Germany. There was no trouble with girls. I had a job lined up with the Holland Sentinel newspaper, end quote. Kubacki didn't take that job, but he had been awarded a bachelor's degree in absentia from Hope College the year before when he was feared but never declared dead. Apparently, even the detectives who investigated his disappearance had doubts about the drowning theory, like the original theory that they had put forth. They sent his dental records to Chicago to see if Kubacki might be among the serial killer John Wayne Gacy's unidentified victims. Today, Kubacki remains alive and well in the Pacific Northwest, working as a psychologist. That's all I have for you today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a big thumbs up if you liked spending this time with me, if you enjoyed the content, and if you want more. Also, let me know in the comments. Guys, MoonBearOracle is up and running. I was a little late with the videos, but I hit a little hiccup in my personal life, as a lot of you know. Thank you so much for all of your support there, but the rest of the videos are going to be up probably the same week this video goes out. Not sure though, but they are going to be there. Please go over to MoonBearOracle on YouTube and subscribe. If you would like a personal intuitive oracle reading from me, please email me at moonbearoracle@gmail.com. That's MoonBearOracle, all one word, @gmail.com. If you have any encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal that you would like to be a part of my listener encounter series, please email me at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. If you would like to see more of me throughout the week, check out my stream right here on this channel on Wednesday nights from 7:15 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, where I pull one oracle card for anyone who wants one. First come, first serve, and give you a weekly reading intuitively off of that card. Friday nights, you'll find a link to one of the Paranormal Chop Shop live streams I do from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And Saturday and Sundays, I am on Spaced Out Radio right here on YouTube with Big Willie Townsend and John Hudson. The After Hours show, we own the night. Check it out. Hit the link if you like it. Try to hit it live. Try to see all of it live. Subscribe to Chop Shop. Subscribe to Spaced Out Radio. All right, Dave Scott, Lynn Wallington, the whole crew over there, including yours truly. The After Hour show is from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I know this was a short one, guys, and before anyone attacks me in the comments, this is something that I wrote for another YouTube channel, but because I write it, it's my property, and I decided that I wanted to put the word out there. I thought this was a really interesting script and a video, so I know that it was already somewhere else, and I'm not infringing because I wrote it. It is mine. With all of that being said, be kind to each other, guys. It doesn't cost anything. It can make you feel really good. Smile at a stranger. Be kind to yourselves as well, and never accept anything less than someone else being kind to you, because who needs that crap, right? Always go in grace, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.